ghostly mark. Cobwebs twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks. Marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silence sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers in crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries. Through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lady Red of the Black Pants Legion. It's just after Turkey Day. I may or may not still be in a turkey coma, but I'm here. And I also stole a lictor. Say hi, lictor.
Victor,
Good job.
yes, I am capable of repeating my own nickname.
Yep. This joke will never get old.
Yep.
Okay, I think everything is working correctly today. I don't think I've broken anything. We made sure that we could hear you before we started stream.
Food coma.
Yes.
Merry, Merry, what's it? Snacksgiving. Yes.
I hope for those who celebrate that sort of thing, you had a wonderful Thanksgiving yesterday. I know we did over this end. We stole Squick, who is currently in the other room with Aiden, probably doing useful things. So we have a Squick. He's not directly next to me and may or may not have something of a hangover. But yeah, we had a good time. I made far too much food, and I've already turned what was left of the turkey into curry to eat tonight, because that is a very British thing to do.
Yes.
I have Saris with me as well. So how is chat doing? Did you guys all have a good day yesterday? I know you've been doing some cooking as well today, Lictor.
I have. Chocolate mousse, winter jam, pulled beef, some mashed potatoes. Very wholesome stuff.
Yes, it sounds delicious.
The wife and the kids had their weekend... is it turkey? Yeah, it is turkey. Turkey with turkey fried with veggies.
Nice. I didn't go too overboard on veggies for Thanksgiving. I tend to do that a little bit more at Christmas. We just had broccolini and kale. And corn. I did do corn as well because, you know, you've got to have your side corn. It's very, very important. You have to have side corn.
Yeah, I mean, corn didn't. I mean, we don't do very complicated corn. I mean, we have, boiled corn with some butter on it, and that's it.
Yep. I mean, it's corn. It's perfect that way. The only way that it gets better is if you get to cook it on a charcoal grill. That sometimes can make it even tastier. But yeah, corn's just good as is, hot with butter.
Yeah. I mean, we do have the mamalika, which the Russians make, but that's more of a grandma sort of thing that she makes, and then you need to put stuff on it. Mamalika is essentially sort of a corn dough bread thing.
Right. Yes. It's a derivative product of the amazingness that is corn.
Yes, corn is kind of awesome.
It is. I do enjoy some corn. So I'm expecting that this week might be a little bit quieter than some of our others, as it is a holiday weekend, and hopefully, people are with families and doing things, and not everybody is having to work today. Though I did see that I think it was Bully Snake has a food coma, but is at work anyway. So bravely soldier on, good sir. I believe in you. You can do the thing, and I don't envy you.
Yes. Also, have some tea.
Yes, tea is wonderful. I think Wilf has the kettle on at the minute, so... Yes, Ed is busy today, so we won't have Ed with us, but that's okay. That's okay. We will get through what we're doing.
Yeah, we will manage.
Yeah, I've got a range of things to witter on about to start the day off, and then what I did after last week, because we did actually start writing last week, like proper prose. It was amazing and very enjoyable. I've completed the prologue the way I would write it by myself, so we can review that. And then if you guys like it sticks, we move on to chapter 1. If you think it needs edits, we'll do edits and then move on to chapter 1. And that's kind of the cunning plan. Pip, could you maybe not scream? That is my cunning plan, and you are not going to change it. No.
No change.
My goodness, my boy. So that's my plan for today, but I do have some normal wittering to do first, as is usual. Yes, Pip's plan is screaming. Aiden says hello. Hi, chat. Pets have been redeemed. Squick, please pet that dog.
Okay.
Anka is being petted. Ceres is being petted. Anka has stolen the pets.
Ceres is getting pets.
And Ceres is getting pets. Night Owl has also redeemed pets. We need more petting. Pet them dogs.
Dogs have been pet.
Come on, man.
I can now hear...
Attend your duties.
Yes, I can now hear strangled squick noises behind me, which means he's getting beagled.
Squick getting beagled.
Yes, they do pet back. You are quite right. Pet more. More pets.
More pets.
Gentlemen, you must stand the line.
Yes, this is the hardest thing, dealing with these dogs. Squick has been having a bit of a time with them. They do like to ambush him from both sides, and then Anka will climb up on the back of the couch and ambush from an unexpected third direction.
They wet willied my ear holes.
There are many. Look, Squeak is an easily targetable object.
The beagles have also decided he is friend-shaped, so, More pets!
More pets.
Now I have been beagled.
Aiden is now also getting beagled. So there you go, there's the pup date, chat. The pups are doing fine, they're causing chaos.
You should share some of the photos Squick took.
I don't have them immediately to hand. I might do that at the end of stream. I might share some photos that Squick took while he was here. Let's see. Archon Erica says, as long as Prologue has 0 Devendra elf stars or L-stones or heads of states with backs to wide open windows who are not punished for it, the Prologue should be good. Although there is a good news. There are no actual windows in our Prologue, so we're at least fine on that front. And we didn't name anybody Devendra elf star.
Indeed. Also, if anybody is ahead of state at this point, we have done our job wrong. No one is ahead of state. We're not exactly 100% sure what states are in Shoal yet.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true. Though I do know what Erica's referring to. He is part of my book club. We've read the last 2 Saturdays in a row. We've been reading Hungry Like the Wolf, the Battletech romance, because goddamn, I am not being alone with having to understand that book, and Doctor Who is too far away for me to hit him with it, so I'm reading it to my book club. We've spent 6 hours so far reading, and we've gotten through 6 chapters, which, considering how short these chapters is, says a lot.
That's supposed to be a lot or little?
That's a lot of hours for getting through very little.
I see. Well, it's not, apparently, as they say, it's not the size that matters. It's how stupid it is.
Yes, very much so. Bully Snake says, I made friends with 2 pits and a chihuahua yesterday. That is 3 dog. That is excellent, Bully Snake. Carry on.
That is a lot of friend-making chihuahuas.
Oh, yes.
I have...
There have been more dogs redeemed, pet things redeemed. Please pet more dogs.
There is a butt in my face.
Well, pet that butt. Pet that butt. That'll be fine. Additional petting is happening. You must pet additional dogs.
You must pet additional dogs. Executor. You must pet additional dogs.
Okay, so we do have a new thing going on. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to the banner roll in the bottom left corner. It's been updated. We've had a few shifts on the schedule. So, for example, if you're looking for Rail, he's now on Sundays instead of, I think it was Thursdays where he was before. So there have been a few changes. We also have 2 new banners on the end because we have 2 streamers picking up empty slots when they have the availability to do so, which of course is the wonderful Hosfei and Chippy, who... Way! Yeah, Chippy has picked up a stream slot. It will be random, and concerningly, all I heard as he walked past was the word raiding and flaming pies. So, stick around, and hopefully we'll see Chippy at some point over the next sort of week or so. God knows when. Good luck, chat. You're probably not prepared, so expect Chippy.
Godspeed.
Yes. So we have that going on. Yeah. Oh, I have bad movies to tell you guys about. Random fits Chippy rather well. It does. You are right. Is he plotting a heist at Greg's? I mean, he does work for a pie company that I don't think supplies Greg's, so that would be very appropriate. Chippy has territory to defend here, but on the other hand, it's Greg's, and I don't know how you get through living in England without a Greg's nearby, or just Britain in general without a Greg's nearby. Greg's the Bakers is very important. I used to work for them many moons ago when I was a very young redling. My very, very first job was cashier at Greg's.
When you were young enough for redling, were you a pinkling?
Yeah, why not? I was an itty bitty pinky. I'll be a doom demon.
Very good. Pink hole.
Yeah, so anyway, bad movies. Squick made me watch Robot Jocks last night.
Why?
Because I hadn't seen it. So this year at Location Redacted, Tex's pick of movies to inflict upon us wonderful souls who all journeyed out there, he decided that it was time for Neil Breen. And we watched some Neil Breen movies. And, the joke was on everyone else. I've already seen all of Neil Breen's movies because I happen to like internet lore and strange people. And I was already familiar with the eccentricities that are Neil Breen. I hadn't seen Robot Jocks, though, and that was the movie they watched in 2024. So while we were eating our delicious and lovingly crafted handmade turkey dinner last night, with all the cool things I made, we put some absolute slop on the television. It was good, though. Have you seen Robot Jocks, Lichter?
I will reiterate for the benefit of the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen movies.
That is fair. So I would like you to imagine the concept of Battletech, but there's only 2 mechs, and the budget for making everything was about $50 and a shoestring, and the script was written by 2 squabbling 6-year-olds.
I mean, I did see Pacific Rim, so
No, Pacific Rim is like one person who remembers being 6, who then had a very good budget and just decided to make the dumbest cool movie in the coolest dumb way. Pacific Rim is fun. Robot Jocks is concerning. It was better than Frogs, Erica. It was better than Frogs. It was the 80s all-American sci-fi movies like that. I mean, to a degree, yes, but this one was especially egregious on the script written by 2 arguing 6-year-olds. At one point, they go into space for literally no reason, for like 2 minutes. And there's a stretch where there is no dialogue for a good, like, 20 minutes. Nobody speaks. And the fact that it's noticeable means that's a problem. Who killed Mech Commander Alexis? I mean, I would be down for that. That might need to be a dumb movie we make. Movie! The costumes, the props, the set, and the effects limits. Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, yes. And one of the things I was looking at while we were watching Robot Jocks last night, in between being very concerned with the fact that I'm pretty convinced somebody on the directing crew has a pregnancy fetish, because there's completely unnecessary references to pregnancy for really no good reason. But while we were watching it, I was obviously paying attention to the mechs that they had there, and there's some absolutely hilarious moments in it that are just bad. There's shots where you have limbs moving from off-screen, where clearly the concept of trying to imply that a knee had bent was just not going to happen. But there were also some things that I did like. There were some design choices, and somebody on the staff cared. Unfortunately, I feel like it was only one person on staff who cared. And it was a time. It was a time. No dialogue doesn't mean bad. Just look at Nick Cage and Willy's Wonderland. Yeah, but that's where it's been very deliberately planned for and kind of works for the kind of movie you're in. The 20 minutes of nobody talking in Robot Jocks is just... It's weird. It's very weird, and it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, why is nobody talking? What is happening in this very strange movie? So, yeah, we watched that last night, and then it was... One of the other weird things about it is, as it's going through trying to tell its story, which feels like 3 different stories stuffed into a trench coat, and all of them have restraining orders against each other and will not talk. These plots want nothing to do with each other. But while this is going on, there's a period.
My son wishes to wish you all a good night.
Oh,
he's going to sleep.
Good night, Lictor Jr. Have good sleep.
Yes, tomorrow we shall fold him again into a lawn chair.
But yeah, there's moments as this excuse for a plot is rolling along where there's almost narrative devices used correctly. Setups start to happen, and you do kind of get Chekhov's gun in certain places.
Or Chekhov's fist.
Yeah, Chekhov's fist. Yes, we did have Chekhov's fist in that movie. But it doesn't come in the way that you'd expect for it to be good.
No. I refuse. I require... Okay. How do you Chekhov a fist?
So you know how the law of Chekhov's gun is that if a gun appears in Act 1, then by the end of Act 3, somebody must have picked it up and fired it? You don't, because things in narratives mean things. Things mean things. You must have, a point to anything you bring into a story, because it's a curative narrative. It's not real life. Well, there's a moment in the movie where one of the sort of bad guys' mech has a big old fist on it, and one of the characters uses a soaring metal chain thing to cut the fist off. And then later on, the fist is remotely activated to be useful in, a later part of the movie. So it is Chekhov's fist. The fist turns up and is cut off, but it is there for a purpose. And it does get used later on. And I'm like, yes, that is correct. You have done one thing correct. It is a shame for the entire rest of the movie you refuse to do anything nearly so similar or good. So, yes, they did get fist to face. Or to chest, which was a shame because, you know, if it had been fist to chainsaw cockpiece, that would have been far better. And yes, that was a thing in this movie. I'm sure plenty of people in chat have seen it. It's mech related, and we kind of do some mech stuff around here. So,
No, us mechs. What?
I mean, there's nothing more to tell you than what I did. One of the mechs has a chainsaw hidden behind a codpiece. It just does.
Sense. I have seen armor in the Middle Ages. I understand the need to add chainsaws to cod pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I've also seen From Dusk Till Dawn, and, you know, Sex Machine is a character in that, so, you know, you just deal with that. What else do we have going on in that movie that was just ridiculous? So much. Yeah, we had the jiggling fist. The genetically created and engineered people are called tubies. So, as far as I'm concerned now, Alaric Ward for the entire rest of the Battletech romance book, when I'm reading it on Saturdays, will be referred to as a tubie, not a clanner, because that will just be far funnier.
It is also far more correct.
We had some dumb stuff go on yesterday while we ate the turkey, and it was again just a shame that you could see that there was an attempt was made. Execution absolutely dreadful. There's a sequel. And Squick keeps reminding me that there is a sequel, and I refuse. No.
War is illegal.
Wilf says Trashborn is also acceptable. I will accept this. Though the one thing that I've kind of discovered doing a second proper linear read through of the book with Book Club is that if I have to pick between our two main characters, whether it's going to be Darvendra Elstone, the relief worker, or Ilkhan Alaric Ward, I like Ward better. Because there's times where he's just brutally rude to her, and that fills me with joy. He's not a good character. He's not a believable character. The whole book is goddamn stupid. But, you know, he at least gets on the heroine's nerves periodically, and I applaud him for that. Little Willie says... sorry. Yeah, Little Willie says, there's a sequel. There is a sequel. Apparently, story-wise, I don't think it has anything to do with the original, but certainly had the same special effects budget and crew.
Okay. God.
Yeah, more pets have been redeemed. Please pet them dogs.
Can do.
God. Okay.
Go up.
Thank you, Squick.
I've activated the dog.
You've activated the dog.
They've run away.
So yeah, that's kind of been my last couple of days. It's been a busy week. I've been working on various things. Actually, I could. Let me turn something on. I might give chat, because you are here and it is a holiday, a little sneak peek of what's coming next month. Sneakily. Maybe just a minute to load some things up. Ward may be stupid, but at least he's brief about it. Yes, there is that. Actually, you know what? The easiest way to do this will be to add it to OBS as an image instead of trying to do it that way. So we will do that. Do I have anything loaded up at the minute? I don't, so I'll add a thing in. So next month there will be a Goob Drive. I have not done one all year, but we are going to do one in December. And to make up for not having done one all year, it's going to be something a little bit special. So, Lictor, talk to chat while I find the thing.
Okay, chat. Please, someone explain to me. Robot Shocks. No, don't explain that to me. Crap, sure, it's good. It's a good game. Nice game. Well. What happened?
There we go. We'll go with about that
Not
size.
much.
Then I'll just scroll down through it. Let's move this down a little
I've been making Grandpa Karansky bobblehead dolls.
Amazing.
That's what I've been doing. And there has been,
Yeah,
the the crew of the Pride of Clappenheim lost their ship
Yes,
in
our
a.
ship has cleared off without us. I'm not happy about it.
I mean, yes, but but then again, you found out that you're in the pleasant company of miniature orcs, so everything's
Yes.
fine. Everything's fine.
Okay, I have thing up on screen. So the Goop Drive will be going live in like 2-3 days on December 1st. So long as Diggs is able to throw that up for me, we have discussed it. I am going to be making the Slorbies Jumbo Little Big Scouts Adventure Book to accompany the Traveller series. It's going to have at least 20 colouring pages in it, plus activity pages, and you're looking at one of the pages on screen now. So it's going to be a big Goob Drive piece. It's not just going to be one image. It's going to be a colouring book you can print out and colour things in and do activities, because why the hell not? Give it to your kids. Give it to your neighbours. Upset a stranger. Why not? Yeah, give it to your kids' neighbours.
Don't upset strangers, please.
But I am ludicrously happy with the little chibis I have made to go into this.
They are beautiful. I love Zilch.
Zilch is great. He's a
And
very fun character to draw. And then we also
I
have
like
Creditus and Croban. They are there as well.
Oh, Creditus. Rowan. This show had saved my sanity. This
Night
traveler
Owl,
game.
it's not technically a Demon Core reference. It is based on the Slorbies logo that I designed to use for the stuff I'm doing. Obviously, people could do what they want with theirs. But the fact that it may or may not look just a little itty bitty bit like the Demon Core is clearly not my fault. I can change this over and show you guys my Slorbies logo that I made that this is taken from. Let's use this one. There we go. That is the Slorbies logo that I made.
Slobbies.
Yep, they got the slaw.
I am the slow.
Yes, have your screwdrivers nearby. You don't need a sonic screwdriver, just any screwdriver will do. It's clearly just taken, from the Arby's logo. We've got a bowler hat instead of the stylized big old 10-gallon hat or whatever, and a nice bowl of coleslaw. And it's definitely not a reference to the Demon Core. I don't know why you think it is.
Of course not.
So yeah, that should be launching in a couple of days. Diggs has decided to keep the goob amount to a very attainable rate, considering it's going to be the holidays. And I hope you guys will enjoy what I'm working on at the end of the year. It should be out December 30th, January 1st. So that's that. There you go. We'll make that go away now. We will hide that thing. We will get rid of that thing.
We'll see it again in a bit. Okay.
Monday. It's happening on Monday. I'm being reliably informed. Yep, it will be on Monday. So once the week starts up, after we have WBPLW go off, we should have a nice Goop Drive on the go. You should be able to donate, I think it's 2,000 Goop per stream. So you will have to, unfortunately, pop back in and see what all of us are doing if you wish to donate much Goop. But I thrive on a Goop-based diet, so please send Goop. Please send Goob.
Good.
Goob is good. Goob is very good. All right, we've gone through our first half hour. I have missed nothing critical that's come in the meantime. Would you guys like to... Only 2K, I'm going to be here for a while. Yep, it's 2K per stream, though. So anytime one of us goes offline and then somebody else starts, you should be able to donate another 2K. And we do keep this channel pretty busy. There's usually something going on every day for a fair portion of it. So we should be good. We should be good. I believe the donation goal is going to be 5 million Goob, which is less than we did on the last Goob Drive last year, where I think we did 7 million and was successful. Surprised it's not during WBPLW, given how much Goob flows around there. I mean, that will be up to Diggs. It's up to Boss Bear. I might mention to him that might be a good time for it to go live, but it's entirely his choice and his time frame, He runs the channel. I just am blessed to work here. All right, shall we do some Shoal stuff?
I mean, can we? Are
We
allowed?
can. I think that's what we might just be here for.
Okay, so long as it's within the limits of our allowance, then yes, let's.
Goop for the Redling. Yes, please. My goop stores are very low after the last piece. Because I haven't done any all year, and I desperately need goop. How else will poor little Redling get through Christmas? Please send me your goop.
We go. Some goop.
Alrighty, let's click over to Shoal then. So I'm going to leave the map up for now, and I think the first thing we should do is look at the prologue that we have on the go. It's currently sitting at just under 2,000 words, so it's a sizable prologue, but not the size of a full chapter, and I think that's probably going to be about the right size for what we want to do. How do we want to do this? I think maybe if I just read it first and then come and check in with chat afterwards.
I think you should give chunks. If we read the 2,000 words in a single chunk.
Okay.
You know, let's start.
Okay.
See how we go.
I'll come to natural stopping points as we go through it, pause and see what people think. Or what I could do is just do a straight read through first and then we go back through it in chunks.
Let's see if how the pace goes, okay?
Okay.
We don't have to make a hard decision right now.
Fair enough. All right. Prologue. The first shot took out his weapons bandolier instead of his neck carapace. A cloud of shards descended between the wet red silt of shattered shell as he ducked and weaved through the water looking for shelter. The second shot impact flipped Carr end over end and drove the breath from his gills, and bounced him off a ledge of rock hard enough stars burst behind his upper eyes. He swore, spat the copper taste off his tongue, and marshalled his legs to right himself. Something in the water tasted old and slimy, no better than the taste of his own blood. "Move!" someone yelled below him. Carr twisted in the water. The rest of the crew were mere shapes in the murk around him, a knot of mismatched silhouettes of fins and tails and dragging net packs as they drove themselves towards a forest of coral spires. Between them, hugged close and awkward, was a large crate. That damned crate. Another lance bolt streaked through the gloom, leaving a sparkling trail of cavitation shimmer behind it. It clipped a spur of stone to Carr's left and blew it apart in a puff of grit and slow-turning stone particulate. The fresh stinging in his lower legs told him that the round had clipped something in its passing. "Surface-baked locals," Carr hissed. The water here was bad for speed. It was thick with silt and plankton, full of blind things that twitched and scattered as the raiders darted through them. The seabed below fell away in stepped ridges down into a deeper ink. Behind, at the edge of vision, he could see their pursuers' lamps fogging through the gloom. Organised, disciplined light. Village militia, Carr thought sourly. Only villagers get that righteous about stolen property. Ahead, the terrain reared up in a jagged, toothy wall. A reef outcropping, tall enough that its highest that's going to be a problem. Use the word outcropping twice in close succession. Tall enough that its highest outcropping stood proud of any clear line of seabed below dominating the murk. "Down!" Carr yelled. He thumbed his glide pack to angle the assistive jets on his back and plunged towards the spires as his companions did likewise. He angled forwards, shooting past the crewman handling the crate in its webbing straps until he caught up with Jex at the head of the column. Jex was a big latical, all heavy jaw and scarred hide, his dorsal fin notched from old fights and conflict. He glanced sidewise as Carr pulled level, teeth bared in a habitual half-smile he always wore when annoyed. "What?" Carr jabbed with his good claw, pointing. "There, that!" Jex followed his point. The reef outcroppings weren't just rock. They were shaped. Spires and ridges and broken arches, all smoothed by time and algae. Under the growth, Carr could see lines. The too regular curve of a buttress, the straight bite of support beams and clustered knobs of cephalonid handholds where the current moved. Here and there, in the gaps between spires, black mouths yawned where windows had once stood. Even from this distance, the place felt wrong. The currents hit and bent around it, like water around stone in a stream. The plankton thinned. The faint crackle of distant reef song fell away. I'll pause there before we go any further. How are we doing, chat? What do we think so far?
Eric has a few notes.
Okay.
Do we want to use stars? I'm going to answer here that stars is familiar and shorthand.
Yeah.
Lantern bugs require explanation.
Yes, and stars are something that the Shoal track, etc. That it's no different for them than it is for us. So yeah, I think keeping it simple might be the right way to go with that. Getting too expositionary this early on would be bad, especially as this is going to be the first introduction for people who don't know about Shoal, who haven't been part of our building.
List edge. We can take a look at the outcroppings and change it to something else, like not ridges.
Let me see, where was that bit?
Yeah, a little bit up. Reef outcroppings, tall enough at its highest
Ridges?
ridges, or how do you call the tallest part of a tree?
It's the crown.
Yeah, the highest crowns. Outcroppings, highest crowns.
Yeah, and that, if we're talking about reefs as well, crowns is a good word for it, yeah. A reef outcropping tall enough that its highest crown stood proud of any clear line of seabed below, dominating the murk. I've got the wrong tense here otherwise. There we go. And this is why it's always good to read your prose aloud to yourself, chat, is it will help you...
I've been meaning to ask you about that.
Yes.
Do you habitually read the text to yourself?
Yes. Once I think I've finished something, normally I let it wait until I'm in the editing phase. When I'm in the sort of writing phase, I like to just try and get the ideas down. I'm not going to be overly specific with spelling and grammar and little mistakes like that. Once I'm fairly certain a chapter is the correct shape that it should be, sometimes if I'm procrastinating over wherever I'm supposed to be writing in the story, I'll take the time to go back and read a chapter I haven't fully edited yet and go through it and read it aloud to myself and make those edits then, so that I'm using my procrastinating time to do something useful instead of doing nothing at all until I get back to what I'm supposed to be writing to continue the story on. But I always read my work aloud to myself. It helps you notice where sentences are too long, where you repeat words, where the cadence is off. Always worth reading aloud your prose, in my opinion.
Very good. That's some actual writing advice right there.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Yeah, I just want to point out. It's good to know.
All right, let's carry on reading, and we'll see if chat comes back with anything else. It's a city, Carr said, gills flickering. Old work, drowned out. Jack's jaw tightened. That's the ghost spires, someone behind them blurted. Carr turned. Rel, the youngest of them, fingers white where he clutched one side of the crate. We can't, Captain. Everyone knows stories, Jack snapped. That's all. Rel shook his head, muscles jumping in his throat. My aunt swore she saw lights down there once. Voices in the pipes, said her cousin went in on a dare and... Another lance bolt slashed overhead, close enough that the pressure wave smacked Carr flat. It hit the reef wall behind them and burrowed in, detonating a second later with a dull, heavy thump. The rock coughed out a cloud of debris. Jex didn't bother to look back this time. He bared his teeth and snapped, We're not dying in the open like idiots. In, now. Carr swung his bulk towards the nearest gap in the spires, a dark crack between two leaning towers, and arrowed for it. The rest of the crew followed, hauling their prize between them. The water here was colder, for no good reason. It tasted stale on his tongue, metallic and old. The faint itch of live singing coral that he'd grown up with, the distant awareness of reef song, of currents tugged by hymning stone, dropped away as he crossed an invisible line. Inside the old city, the world narrowed. The open water vanished behind them in a curtain of shadow and stone. The spires they'd seen from outside showed their bones. Hollow towers, shattered bridges, the broken stumps of transit tubes webbed with limp strands of kelp. Here and there, scraps of old signage clung to walls, the glyphs dulled and half-eaten by barnacles. The crew's lamps painted it all in brief, harsh sweeps as they moved, things appearing and vanishing like memories. They passed what might once have been a market, A broad plaza ringed by alcoves, stall fronts collapsed and choked with silt. A faded mural sprawled along one wall, showing stylized figures wheeling around a great central spiral, their faces scratched away by time. Stirring up clouds of dust with each kick, the raiders left a trail of murk behind them. Jex led them deeper, following some half-remembered instinct for cover. At last, he rose up towards the inside curve of a leaning tower and ducked into a side passage whose mouth was half hidden by the long-dead fronds of some petrified plant. "In here," he called. "Quickly!" The passage opened into a pocket like a cracked bubble inside the tower's wall. Once a maintenance bay or a storage room, now a narrow hollow with only one way in or out. Perfect for a last stand or a desperate hiding place. The stone ceiling dipped low overhead. Along the far wall, a tangle of fractured conduit and plating bulged, crusted with barnacle and stoneworms. "Down," Jex ordered. "Set her there. Careful." The crate snarled quietly between its handlers, as if offended at the indignity. It was half as long as a grown laticle, wrapped in ceiling mesh. Strange geometric growth studded its sides. Nodes, Carr had heard the tech hands call them. Memory sinks, data polyps. Bronze archive, Rel said. All the village's history and temperature lines and family songs copied from people's home and packed into a box. It was worth more than all of them together. As they lowered it to the floor, one of the bandings caught on the snarled conduit. Carr saw the mesh strain and the plates shift. "Wait," he started. The big ceratinoid on the other side, Harrow, thick-skulled and impatient, gave the crate an extra shove, swearing under his breath. "Stuck. Just push through." The crate lurched. Metal screeched against stone. Something in the tangle of conduits snapped with a brittle, ringing crack. For an instant, there was silence. Then a seam in the wall split open with a brief, bubbling hiss. It was a small opening at first, barely the width of Carr's thumb, near the floor where the plating had bowed. From it, like ink from a cut bag, a ribbon of darker water uncoiled. Carr felt it before he saw it, a sudden blade of cold across his ankles. A weight in the water dragging at his fins, heavy and thick. The taste hit him a heartbeat later. Oily, metallic, stale in a way that had nothing to do with salt. It crawled across his tongue and into his sinuses. Ugh. Ralph. Gone?
Gills, not sinuses.
You're right, that should be gills.
She'll do.
I also think we need to change out dragging at his fins, heavy and thick. Carr is a ceratinoid. Dragging at
Yes.
his shell, heavy and thick. There we go. Let's see if chat has anything. Oh, there has been another pet redeem. I will pet Sarah. She is on my hip.
Anka would like to also be on your hip, please, Grandma.
I do not have
Like
more
a
space, Anka. I am sorry. You're giving me the very cutest look, though.
Erica, how the notes are swelling.
I would leave that up to the internal eye of the reader, because they could be swirling up and down. You know, clearly we're in a water environment, and swirling is something that happens in water.
Yes, swirling.
Sometimes.
Hi, Anka. She's desperately trying to say hello to you, chat. She wants to lick the microphone. Please no. Hi. Yes, her ears are in fact handlebars to prevent the head from licking the microphone. You wanted to say hi to chat? No lickies, thank you. No. No. Okay, it's now pet stream time.
Yep.
We will return to reading in a moment.
One moment, I shall redeem.
Oh, Sarah's small asleep.
There we go.
Oh, Lictor sends his pets. Uncle Lictor says hi. Yes, he does.
So I do.
Okay, you need to get out of my face now. There we go. Lay down.
In the name of chat and all that is dog. Pet.
In the name of chat, get pet, nerd.
Yes.
Oh my
That is what
goodness.
you like.
Really? Really? This is what we're doing? She's trying to lay on the keyboard, chat.
No.
She's now sprawled over my lap with her head on top of my wrist. I don't know how I'm going to type when we get to it, but we'll figure it out when we get there. Oh my goodness, sweet girl. All right, let's get back to our prose. Can you not? Do I really need to type or anything? Yeah, it's not like this is a writing stream or anything. I'm sure we don't need to write anything down. That'll be fine. Night Owl says hello as well, Anka. These pets are from him. Yes. This baby. Okay, let's get back to our reading. Ugh. Rel slapped a hand over his face, eyes watering. What is that? Old reservoir, Jex said reflexively. His voice was steady, if a little thin. City like this, they'll have dead tanks, brine pockets. Don't worry about it, it'll mix out. Carr watched the dark water creep forward along the floor. It didn't billow like spilled ink in ordinary sea. It clung low, hugging stone, sliding around the bumps and debris like a living thing. Where it touched the base of the wall, the faint glow of godforsaken algae winked out. His gills fluttered, tugging. For a heartbeat, he thought about the stories. Things his grandmother had muttered over cracked mugs in a rusted barge hull about old cities and dead water that ate men whole. He almost said something. Then Harrow swore, tearing his attention away. Captain, Tessa's bleeding out. Tessa lay slumped against the wall, one hand pressed tight over the hole in her side. A lance had gone clean through armour and flesh. There was already a dark cloud in the water around her, speckled with floating bits of fabric and flesh. Her eyes were glassy, skin the wrong shade. Damn it, Jex muttered, pushing off towards her. Carr, you're on watch. Rel, help me get her plate off. Harrow, get the med pack open. We patch, we rest, then we move at shift turn. The village won't chase us into the cursed hole for long. We shouldn't be here, Rel whispered, but he moved, hands scrabbling at the clasp of the med pack. The crate settled against the far wall, humming softly to itself. The dark water continued to pour, a slow, unstoppable thread widening into a shallow pool at their feet. Carr glanced once more at the cracked seam, at the way the heavier water slid out in silence, and felt his stomach knot. It's just brine, he told himself. Old storage. Cities keep all kinds of poisons in their bones. And they didn't have anywhere else to go. He shoved the thought away, kicked towards the door, and set his sights on the silence of the abandoned city. No one had followed them in. Cowards, he told himself. It didn't reassure him. By evening, when the song waned quiet towards midnight, the water felt fractionally clearer. Carr folded his arms, tucked his chin down, and let exhaustion drag his eyelids shut. The crate sat in the crook of the wall, humming softly. Inside, the stolen memories of a village waited. Songs and maps and temperature lines, birth chants and death dirges, the subtle mathematical poetry of a community's whole recorded life. The voice of generations. Around it, the dead city listened. The dark water rose another finger's breadth. Harrow's head drooped once, twice. His gills fluttered shallowly. Each breath took more effort than the last, as if he were trying to pull air through stone. He told himself he'd just rest his eyes for a moment. By the time the last of his resolve ebbed away and sleep finally took him, the heavy water was lapping at his ribs. Outside, beyond the old city ridges, the reef sang on in ignorance. Small fish flickered around the edges of the dead zone and veered sharply away, some instinct of survival pulling them back. The currents bent and curled as they always had, flowing around the bones of the lost city. In the hollow tower, in that cramped pocket above the cracked reservoir, the raiders slept. The stolen crate kept humming, steady and patient. One by one, the raiders' lamps dimmed, and then went out. And that will be the end of the prologue.
And we have a Corbin.
We do, with many, many emojis. My goodness. Wolf says this is what voice recognition software is for. Yes, so I can talk to the computer instead of write purely because I have puppy. Hi, baby. Hi. Doctor Who says that was good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If there are any changes or anything you think we need to do differently, chat, we can do that. And if not, we'll move into chapter 1 very shortly.
Question for future
Yes.
events. Is the crate containing the the bronze coral, insulated in a manner that will preserve it against silence.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we have it in the webbing that it's in, we can maybe go into some more detail about what that is when it's found, and that's why it hasn't been eaten by the silence.
And again, I think just giving that tiny tidbit here,
You think it should go in here?
I think that somewhere in the prologue, just notifying that the crate it's a reinforced crate. It's not a, because when you say crate, at least in my mind's eye, it's a bunch of wood, and it won't stop anything from seeping in or out.
Okay.
So
Half of a grown
but,
lactical, made of.
Also, orc slayers have been redeeming like in Madman. Water break, stretch, poster check.
I will stretch. My posture is terrible, hence the need for the stretch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look up some of our forging materials from our compendium to make sure that I use the right title for what I'm thinking of. It will be in...
Eric, I think that glow doesn't mean knowledge. I think tempo or complexity equals knowledge. Complexity in tempo, because glow is real and hard to find and relate to in the deep.
I know. Forging and metallurgy. Here we go.
Oakslayers. The book is going actually pretty well. I mean, it's kind of amazing, but we got to the part where stuff is being written.
Yep.
This is actually the prologue. It's 2,000 words or so.
Yep.
And we made it with you guys. It's like sat down and wrote something that we created together. It is insane. Okay, Eric, I understand. Okay, yeah, I respect that reference. So I'm not entirely certain why do you reference the mythos in here.
Alright, let me flick over here instead. I know what I'm looking for, I just can't remember where I've hid it.
That is fair.
Should be here. Here we go. This is what I'll be looking for. There's an empathic buffer. Look like Coracat.
I am modern forging. I think where do the resins and chemically altered essentially bioplastics come in?
So we've done some work on that, and I now know where to look for some of the information that we have. It's over here in coral forging. I was looking in the wrong place. So I have forgeable materials that use coral. I haven't done, outside of that yet, but some of these are useful. So we have abyss cast, which is a deep water coral ceramic poured under pressure. It's radiation resistant plate for fusion cores. Reactor cofferdams and hot zone baffles on frames working in Skyfall and Ringbelt storms. Skyfall being our meteor season. We have reef stone, kilned coral ceramic. I think what we're going to need is one of the coral with an H materials that is a dampener.
Alright, so a little bit up.
A little bit up.
A little bit up. A little bit. Just a little bit more up. There was the tide coat, coral ceramic microlayer that sheds biofilm.
That will be the stuff. Yes, that should be exactly what we use for.
Sacrificial outer film for hulls and lymph.
And that would also mean when we get to the point where we have our shark girl talking about finding the core, is going to be her worry is that. It's fine for it to be out for a while, but its tide coat will eventually come off.
Exactly.
Okay,
Oh,
that's what we need.
and we have a bunch of we have a bunch of people joining in.
Oh, wonderful. Let me come and see what chat is doing before we carry on. I haven't had my water break
We
yet.
have
I will do
raiders.
that once I can.
We've
We
been
have
raided.
raiders. How wonderful! And it's the Cornish Knight. I don't think have I seen you in the hit before? I think maybe we have. Well, it's wonderful to see you. It's wonderful to see you
Hello, hello. Welcome.
with a party of 3. What have you been up to today, Cornish Knight? Were you doing anything exciting before you headed over here? Been a hot minute, but I have been here before. I thought I'd seen the name before.
Yes.
I hope whatever you were up to before you came and leapt in here with this mad lot was enjoyable. Playing modded Battletech. Very nice. Very, very nice. Well, we're not doing Battletech mechs here, but we are doing underwater psionic mecha nonsense. So, you know. We do technically have some mechs going on. We just won't see them for a little while. Though we might get to our very first Titan point today once we start writing Chapter 1. Because, of course, R2...
We get to ride Hordaka's mech.
Yes, we get to meet Hordaka's mech. So that will be very fun.
I want to meet him. He's a cool dude.
Alright, back to my main document. Where was I writing? Half-film square laticle made of psiotic. Okay. Anchor. This is not easy. Okay, made of coral composites and psionically resistant tide coat. It was wrapped in
Shielding alone is expensive. Perhaps this is
steel
something.
mesh and covered in strange geometric growths studding its sides.
Cool.
No, that's not where the full stop goes. There we go. It goes there. And then nodes. Carr had heard the tech hands call them. There we go. That should now read well and has the psionic resistance added into the prologue. Alright, let's see what's going on in chat.
Things in books mean things. That means
Yes,
we can
things
reference
mean
the creator.
things. Nonsense is our specialty. Yes, we do just a little bit of nonsense around here.
We take our shit posting seriously.
Doctor Who says, I love how the dead water we wrote during the exploration later on became an aspect up here. Because, as you said, things mean things. Yep. So, and this is part of why we went through all the effort of doing the bullet pointing. As you guys know, the way that I write is I'm a planner. I'm not a pantser. We could have just leapt into writing immediately. And, you know, these are things where if you want to write that way, you can. And you just go back. So if we'd written all the way through with our prose already and gotten to the point where the dead water came in and made the decisions there, you know, you can have the ability to go, oh, you know, we've brought this in here. Why don't we go back and change the prologue so that it now matches this, that we've added in the foreshadowing, we've added in that dramatic irony for the reader where they know things that the characters don't. And you just go back and edit that in either after you finish the first draft or as you're working. I know I will forget to do things. So it's why I bullet pointed first. It made it very easy for us to go, well, we've made this decision. That can now feed back into the prologue. Now I'm writing the actual prose. And it gives you that foreshadowing, which is a literary device, don't you know? Yeah, clever callback in the future. Yeah, which is, of course, what we want to do. Things in book mean things, and you want to be reinforcing these little things over and over and over. And it's especially true when you want to show, don't tell. We want the audience to have that moment of recognition in our third act where they find the archive to take it home, that they already know what this thing is. We don't have to interrupt what will be, when we get there, a very busy action sequence that we're going to want to feel nice and snappy inside people's heads. Would this be a Chekhov's gun? Technically, sort of, yes, because we've introduced the archive in the very beginning. By the end of Act 3, the archive will have become important. So it's kind of a Chekhov's gun because it is going to get used. And of course, in the first act, technically we do fire the archive because it's used to do the psionic pulse at the end. So yes, this would be a Chekhov's gun. For anybody who's in chat who isn't familiar with Chekhov's gun, it is a literary writing rule. It's one of the good ones to follow, where the concept is, if you introduce a gun in Act 1, by the end of Act 3, somebody should have fired that gun. Otherwise, there's no point in the gun being in the story. You must have done something with it.
It comes from plays where
Yes.
if there's a gun in the on the set, if you can see a gun on the first act, by the third act, somebody should pick it up and use it.
Yes.
Otherwise, don't
Yes.
put it on the set.
Yep.
Dramatic irony, things that we know that the characters don't know.
Yes.
And it is satisfying to the reader, who are
Yeah.
the people who are reading, for whom
you
we
use-
are writing it.
You use dramatic irony for two main reasons. One is basically to give your audience a sense of rising tension that maybe the characters don't have. You've let your audience in on something that the characters they're reading about don't know yet. So they're watching the characters unknowingly walking towards the cliff edge. The audience knows the cliff edge is there. The characters aren't stressed. The reader is, because they're like, oh no, the cliff edge is coming up. So it allows you to build a level of tension that wouldn't be in the story otherwise. And the other reason that you use it is so that you don't have to explain things later in busy sections, particularly in action scenes. Giving the audience dramatic irony, prior knowledge of something that will become important later. Once you get to the point where it becomes important, you don't have to pause the action to explain it. You've already explained it. The big thing here that I'm really thinking about is action scenes. So there is another good rule in writing that, again, all rules can be broken for various reasons. Lord Trower has mentioned one here. What if a gun is a red herring? Then at that point, it's not a Chekhov's gun. You're using it for a different... You're using it for a different purpose, but you have to be intentional with that. You've still made sure that the gun means things, and that is to subvert the expectation. But then another writing rule: action scenes.
If I may?
Go on.
If I may, a red herring should also be picked up and coveted by characters, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you still use it for something,
Exactly.
even if that something is subversion. Action scenes, the rule. Ideally, when you're writing an action scene, particularly a fight or something like that, it shouldn't take the reader a longer time to read what is happening than it would take to happen in real life. So if you want people to have this dramatic back and forth punching match that's going to go on for, sort of a 10 to 15 minute sparring match, it should not take 10 to 15 minutes for somebody to read all the way through that. It should be, around the same length, if not shorter. If you've got a very quick fight happening on the street where it's sudden and out of the blue, you want to have it happen very quickly. You're going to write the very quick back and forths, maybe some very brief introspection from the characters in the moment. But it's not going to be detailed. You're not going to take the time to explain all these intricate back and forths, etc., because you're going to pull the reader out of the moment. It's taking too long. You're losing the tension. The exception to this is if you are working in something like communal roleplay, where positioning, etc., is important, and you might go outside that rule and break it for a very deliberate reason. But for the most part, if you're doing an action scene, it should be quick and choppy, just like the actual action of the story. Archon Erica says the opposite of DBZ. Yes, though you have to remember that for most of us in the West, the reason that we perceive that trope for Dragon Ball Z is specifically because of the way that show was brought over and the way that show went from being a manga to an anime. A lot of stuff got dragged out because Akira Toriyama hadn't written the next chapters yet, and they needed to extend the season and give themselves breathing time. So if you read the manga, people don't power up for nearly as long as you see in the anime, because it's just not necessary, and the pacing is a lot tighter in the manga. Hint, read the early Battletech novels and don't do that. I do have some Battletech novels up on my shelf that I am due to read so that we can do some stupid projects next year. I have the Warrior trilogy up there that I'm looking forward to working through. I was talking about this last week because we have some Battletech romances of our own to write, chat. It's going to be very fun. But it was very interesting picking up the first of the Warrior trilogy and reading the initial couple of pages. Because they break a lot of rules that we would typically use today, and not in a good way. But it's not in a bad way either. It's purely a artifact of the time. The books are written very much like 1980s novels, and not a 2020s novel, with the ways that literature has grown in those years. Same with Bleach. A flight can last 6 episodes and have 3 flashbacks. Yeah, and it was having the same problem. You see it with a lot of shonen-style anime. If they are being written and produced at the same, while the manga isn't finished yet, you get some interesting stuff happening. It's also why we had the 2 versions of Hellsing, the original anime, and then the OVA Hellsing Ultimate series. Hellsing Ultimate follows the manga. After the Jan and Luke Valentine saga in the original, the anime goes off on its own direction because Kota Hirano hadn't written anymore at that point, and Kota Hirano was notoriously very slow about working on Hellsing. So they decided...
Which reminds me, we need to finish watching
We
that.
do! We're almost at the end, and you need to see what happens. So yes, we do need to finish watching Hellsing Ultimate. Where does Ghost Stories fall here? I mean, in terms of writing rules, or in terms of how it was brought to the West and unique storytelling decisions with anime? Hellsing Ultimate Abridged Best Version? I partially agree with you. The last 2 episodes I feel are kind of weak because you can tell that the last 2 episodes only had one writer and that it was Taka, which is not a slight against Taka in the slightest, but they don't feel as polished because there weren't as many voices tightening up the flow. So I do feel like in Abridged, the last 2 episodes are not as good as the original Hellsing Ultimate. Sub or dub? I like both. There are benefits to both the sub and the dub. I tend to watch it with the dub more often, but I am a fan of both. It's one of those series where I don't have a deep preference for one over the other, because there's benefits to both. There's definitely benefits to both. All right. So we should get back to Shoal things, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. And I think my only option is to upset the puppy, because I am slowly losing all feeling in my right hand.
I am afraid to say that Puppy does not have primacy.
Yes, we will move her in a minute. Cornish Knight says, have you seen Campfire Cooking in the World? I sure have.
Yes.
Corbin, my problem child, got me onto that series. I've only watched the first episode of season 2. I need to watch the rest of what's currently out, but I do love me some Campfire Cooking, and I did get a commission that involved referencing that show. It's very good. It's very good.
Campfire Cooking in another world?
Yeah. With my absurd skill, it's the one with Fell in it, the one we've been
It's
watching.
the one you and I watched.
Yes,
with the lady.
Yes, with the pixie dragon. Yes, we need to watch more.
We can continue. We can.
Yes, it's that one.
Absolutely can. Sure.
Yeah, so
It's a good show.
For anybody who hasn't seen it, Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill is one of the few isekai that I genuinely enjoy. It's very, very good. He gets an online... his whole skill is, yes, I can go online and do internet shopping and stuff just arrives. And he absolutely refuses the call to adventure, which I love, The main character turns up with these other characters who've got much more powerful and normal skills. And he takes one look at the setup and is like, I've been whisked to this other world to join a war for these people. This is just fishy AF. And my skills, not useful. So you should totally just give me some money to keep quiet and let me go on my way. He's like, call to action? No, thank you. And walks off. It's great. It is a very good anime. Very, very fun, and I do recommend it. I can't move this baby. She's too cute, and she is warm. So we're going to try and work around her.
Please do not grow necrosis in your fingers.
I will endeavour to do my best. I will endeavour to do my
Very good.
best. Right.
Defy Papa Nugget.
Let us bring up on the right side our bullet points that we made. And let's see if we've met everything we had in our prologue. And if we have missed anything, whether we're okay with that or not. So, yeah, we've kept to the starting with action. And our dude is running, points out the nearby reef. The group descends to hide, realizes it's the top of an abandoned city. We did put in the murmuring the legend about the place being haunted. They shouldn't go there. Another member of the group complains that they need somewhere to put down the very important thing. Well, we basically did something similar to that and treat their wounded. We did have that in there. They descend into the city, find a nook to hide their item. Yep, we did that. We released the suffocating stream of heavier water. We didn't make a direct comment about the pursuing group halting at the edge of the city and withdrawing, but we did have the note in here that when Carr goes to be on watch, he notices that they haven't followed him or haven't followed the group, and he calls them cowards. So I think we're fine on that. And they bed down for the night. So yeah, I think we're good on the prologue. Unless chat has any specific, we need to edit something massively. I think the prologue is pretty good and we can move on.
It's good to go into editing.
Yes. Yeah, it's as a first draft, it's done. We won't need to touch it again until we go through the editing process.
Very good.
Anka, I can't feel my hand, baby. I might have to get your grandpups to come and get you. You can cuddle him instead. Would you like a baby to cuddle, love? I'd like you to have a baby. Yeah, I can't feel my hand.
Oh, but it would be a sin to disturb.
I know, but I can't feel my hand, and this is supposed to be a writing stream, and I can't write.
Get Victor to write for you.
That will not work. Doctor Who is telling you to come and rescue me. Come and get this baby.
I
Oh, bless.
I know,
wanna.
isn't she cute? Come on, baby. You go with Grandpups. He's got you. There you go. Oh, my God. Now my hand will start hurting in a few moments.
yes. The Antsy. The March of the Ants.
Just what big writing wants you to think. All right. Let us move into our next section. So we're going to add in a new untitled document. I'm going to call it Chapter 1 for now. I will probably get edits to that at some point. So we have our notes over here for how we want Act 1 to start. So this is our expositionary period. This is where we are going to be introducing the audience to the world in a more structured way. We've had our initial opening action scene. The prologue has made it clear that we're talking about people that look like crabs, etc., that we're underwater, that we are on coral reefs. You know, we've brought all of that in through our action, but this is where we will now get to start talking about a lot of the mechanics of what we all built together. We made the decision that this book would have a human character in it who will effectively be a stand-in for the audience's ignorance, but we don't want to use him to just be sort of a talking mouth for the audience's questions. We need to make sure we bring his personality out and make him a real person and an interesting person as we go along. We've talked a lot about the romance genre on this stream because we do that here, and we're going to write some nonsense as well. One of the things that bad romance books are particularly egregious of is giving you main characters who are just plain unlikable, and nothing will make a reader want to put a book down quicker than reading about someone that they just don't care about. You can get away with it in movies. In movies, you just go, if I want to write somebody completely unlikable, I'm just going to make a horror movie. And then everybody could just be rooting for that person to die and we'll all be happy. That's fine. Can't get away with it quite so much in books. You do need to have people actually want to care and have a reason to follow the people you're writing about. So we'll have to be careful with that. All right, our initial notes for what I think we're going to be working on today. We know we want Jake to start in his personal hab environment, getting the call that the expedition he's part of will be ready to move out within the hour. We're going to get to see Jake packing the last of his things onto his pressure suit and travel trunk, and a chance for a brief reflection on why he's here, who he is, his area of expertise, etc., etc. We're going to have a photo of his college research team and an introduction to his familiar, Kilo, who is an AI. As he's moving his trunk to the moon pool to be loaded onto the library titan, Umi pops in and they have an initial discussion. Chance to see Elatical up close for the audience. We mentioned in the prologue that Jax is a bulky latical, but we didn't describe in the prologue what a latical looks like, which is fine because we didn't need to. But this is the point where we will now need to do so and, and make that clear to the audience. We decided that we need to have a disruption outside. Jake hurries into his suit, follows after Umi to see what's up, and that the disruption could be because of Jake's presence, maybe somebody taking a photo. We get our marketplace disturbance scene, though I don't think we're going to use specifically a marketplace. We'll have a think on that. This is the city where duels happen, so that's going to be fairly normal. Umi will encourage Jake to collapse his hab down and get his trunk onto the library titan. We get to see the Titans, the Tide Warden Titan arriving. This breaks up the dispute in the marketplace and lets the audience see the awe and might of Titans in action, and they join Jake to the party for the next steps. The expedition moves out quite quickly, in part to not be part of any extended trouble in town, and in part because they need to make sure that they make their rendezvous with the travelling fleet city, because it sure as fuck won't wait for them. We also need to mention that Jabra has joined them here.
Jabra.
Because she was picked up. Yeah, she was picked up. This is part of the reason why they were here. So for now, let's start. Chapter 1. So we technically already had our hook for the book in the first line of our prologue, which we went with... the first shot took out his weapons bandolier instead of his neck carapace. So your hook line is to get your audience to start asking questions, the kind of questions that they want to seek answers to by continuing to read. Technically, we've already done that with the prologue, but we should have a good hook in chapter 1 as well, because this is the point where we're moving away from here. We've given you this different scene and perspective to here are the characters we actually want you to follow. So we do need to try and hook the audience again with wanting to read about this new group of characters we're now exposing them to. Right, let's see what chat has been saying before we get started on that. Question, do you name your chapters or do you just number them? Depends on the kind of book that I'm writing. Some chapters benefit from having titles. Some benefit from just being a number, and it will entirely depend on what you want your audience to take away from things. Fantasy stories, for example, can benefit from having a title for a chapter instead of a number, particularly if you're writing a grand sweeping fantasy epic, because by naming the chapters, if somebody's had to put the book down and come back to it, which if it's a big fantasy epic they're probably going to have to, when they look at these, sort of table of contents at the front where it's got all the different chapters listed and what page they happen on, if the title of the chapter matches with the core of what goes on in that chapter, it's a really good quick refresher for your reader as they come back of, oh yes, that was the chapter where this happened, this was the chapter where that happened, I'm now on this chapter, and it can help them get back into the story quickly. And it can also be sort of warm and nostalgic if you're picking a book up for the second or third time. For most books though, numbers is usually going to be okay. It's going to be one of those things where it's, does it benefit the book or does it not? We've talked about the Battletech romance. We've done that quite a lot. one of the things that the Battletech romance does that I think is a good idea is just numbers its chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, because you can't give the chapters titles because nothing happens in half of them. But it then does a very stupid thing immediately afterwards. It moves into telling you the time, the date, the location, and the faction that you're reading about. For normal Battletech books, that's probably super useful, where you need to know, who am I currently reading about? Is this happening at the same time as the chapter I just read in a different perspective? Whereabouts in this vast, potentially universe of places I could be am I reading at the moment? Useful. In a romance novel where you're only ever following basically 2 characters and they never leave the greater Seattle area, completely unnecessary and distracts you from things. Not great. So they would have been better off just having chapter numbers and then nothing else. I think for us, we're just going to go with numbers at the minute. I don't think it's going to be necessary for it to give our chapters titles. Nobody benefits from a book with chapter 0. For one thing, that would lead inevitably to a chapter -1. Okay, let's talk about the book that did that, because I think there's some people here who haven't heard this rant before. Battletech Romance Chapter 7. Take a look at my enormous PPC. Look, when we sit down to write Real Housewives of Solaris 7, maybe we'll do something like that just for fun. If it's going to be stupid. I might do it when I tinglify the existing Battletech Romance.
What you need to do, that the ER stands for enormous. My ER PPC stands for enormous.
we might have to do some stuff with that when we get to there. But the book that has chapter 0 in it, for anybody who's heard this rant before, I'm sorry. For those of you who haven't, please take some lessons from this. So there's a book called Handbook for Mortals, and it's very bad. It's a very, very, very bad book. It is a book that exists in the wake of Twilight and is designed to be a what if Twilight love triangle but magical girl, except that there's barely any magic in that book and it's all very stupid and the writer is delusional and many other problems. One of the things she decided to do for this book was to base each of her chapters on an arcana from the tarot. And you could do something clever with that. If you used that and you give your chapters titles like she did, like the Hierophant, the Chariot, etc., etc., and then the contents of that chapter matches up to the name of the arcana and what that arcana typically means, that could be interesting, especially if you know anything about tarot. There's a big thing with tarot that is very important in which way up a card is when you draw it. Is it right side up, or is it upside down, or inverted? And depending on which way it comes out can alter the meaning of what that card is supposedly telling you. The author, although she uses tarot in her book, never makes any note of whether a card is right side up or inverted. And she names each of her chapters after an arcana, and I think only about a third of the chapters had the contents have any relevance to the arcana in question. Her reading of what each of the arcana meant as well was incredibly shallow and surface level, and not even a good basic Google dive on it. So it's used poorly, and she also makes the decision that the first chapter will be chapter 0 before, the fate of destiny and the cards kicks in. And so she labels it chapter 0, which, if she'd done everything else right, could have been really useful and would have been an interesting literary device if she had a good story to tell and she used that literary device in a meaningful way. But she doesn't. And chapter 0, it's not even a prologue. It's literally just a chapter 1 and very confusing. What she's trying to do is what we've just done. She's trying to write some dramatic irony where the reader knows that there is a conflict between the main character and her mother, so that when later on events happen and she calls, she says, "Oh, call my mother, she'll know what to do," and then her mum comes into the story in the sort of third act towards the end. It will be, you know, more meaningful because the audience has an awareness of this stuff. But she doesn't actually tell you anything in chapter 0. All she tells you is that, yes, they're having an argument and it's very serious, but I'm not going to tell you what the argument's about. I'm not going to tell you why it's serious. You're going to have absolutely... There was no point to it. There is no point to it. You don't end up walking away with any kind of dramatic irony or foreshadowing because she tells you nothing. It's terrible. Such a bad book. Such a bad book. Okay, I'm good. I'm going to sip my drink and then we're going to do some work.
There.
Iden is not helping in the background.
Of course he's not helping.
Archon
What is
Erica
he?
says, to quote Shakespeare, much ado about nothing. Yes, that is chapter 0.
We're not doing that. Why?
Doctor Who would rather talk about our writing and doing good things than slop. Yes, but we use slop to learn from. Slop is very important for learning.
Much ado about nothing.
Look, when you get angry, it gives us energy. We are like volcano. We're
So fucking stupidly pointless.
Iden wants me to tell you guys about the trick. We're not going to do that today, but maybe at some point over the Christmas and New Year holidays, one of the streams, I will tell you about the amazing trick that turns up in Handbook for Mortals that's supposed to be this incredible magic trick that they've been working on for like 6 months. But that is not a today thing. Today we are going to do some work.
the only question I
yes,
have is,
yeah.
why is he cackling?
Because I read Handbook for Mortals to them, and he wishes for you all to suffer as he has suffered.
Ah, okay. No, that's normal. Carry on.
All right. Chapter 1. We're moving to our new group of characters. It's the characters that we're mostly going to be following. We need a good hook line. If chat has anything they want to suggest, that will be fine. I'm going to put in a suggestion of my own, and then we can talk about it.
Okay. I'll type something too.
Go for it. There we go. That's going to be my suggestion. Let's see what chat has. A prologue of chapter 0 in this case exists for scene setting and world building to paint a picture for the reader before they get into the story proper. Yes, and Handbook for Mortals didn't do that. It just told us that 2 people were having an argument that we're not allowed to know the details of. Doctor Who suggested we open with an alarm clock, Kilo waking Jake up. We could do that, having Kilo wake Jake up, or at least nudge Jake out of maybe he's in a reverie or something, because we do want him to be in the process of packing up to get his stuff onto the Titan. So it might not be that he's asleep, but he might be having like a final cup of coffee or relaxing, and Kilo nudges him out of it. We could do that, absolutely. Oh, Verith Ragnar brings up a good point though. Prologue ends with characters falling asleep. Chapter 1 opens with a character waking up. We could do that. Maybe he's dozed off at the table over his cup of coffee or something mid-pack. That could be interesting. Introduces the relationship between Jake and Kilo. Yeah, these are good thoughts. These are very good thoughts. I'm interested to see what Lictor has for us as well. Grimos enjoys the idea of going to sleep and waking up. I mean, that is some really good narrative imagery. I can't argue with that. Oh my goodness, Squick got an amazing picture of Pip.
Yes, share it. Share it with the chat.
I will. Erica says, waking Jake up with a song that Jake now regrets using as an alarm. That was a very human thing, so we could do that, yes. Let me bring this back up for a moment and I will change the source. I will need to save this image before I can do this. Where image? There, image. Save image. Desktop. Boop. Alright. OBS. Browse. Desktop. Boop. Look at that boy, chat. Look at that shouty boy. We have to be careful to not make the prologue seem like a dream, though. Yeah, I think we can do that. That shouldn't be an issue. We can mention that he was dreaming about something else, for example. Yes, shouty lad. That is Pip McBork. What you're seeing there is, I suspect, that's him on the come down, because when he balks, his front feet lift off the floor. And I think his little toesies are just coming back down into contact with it.
But look at the face, they're so skeptical.
Is this because you perceived him, Squick?
Yes.
You committed the sin of perceiving him?
Yes.
Yes, that was why the borf happened. Look at that boy. I seem to have lost Lictor. Are you still with us, Lictor? Oh no. Oh no, we have lost Lictor. I presume you can hear me, chat, and it's not that we've lost me. You seem to be able to see the dog, so I'm guessing it's not me. Somebody reassure me in chat that things are working as intended. Please. Hear you fine? Good. Good, 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 good. Yeah, I don't hear Lictor either. He may have had to step away. Cool. Alright. Thank you for quoting that, Grimos. I'm sure Lictor will be back in a minute. Alright, let me move this off of OBS. Boop. And we will retool this opening line. So we now want the opening line to be something to do with... okay. Jack rose from his doze to the stirring strains of... We now need to pick a well-known, something that most of the audience will know, song. It can be an Earth song, that's completely fine, that he has set as his alarm tone. What song is Jake listening to? Or hearing as Kilo wakes him up? "1812 Overture"? "Under Pressure"? "Back in Black"? I think we're going to end up having to do a poll on this, aren't we? Get me another couple of choices. "Back in Black" I like. Aha's "Take on Me." Yeah, Under Pressure is a pretty good choice. We're under the water, so Baby Shark. No, we are not doing Baby Shark. Alright, let me see if I can get a poll up. Okay. What song does Jake wake up to? Anchor Barking, apparently. 1812 Overture Cannons. Back in Black. Under Pressure. Take on Me. Sweet Dreams.
But it's also entirely possible I misremembered it, and I'm mad over nothing, and they fixed it, so good job. Like, I remember that being a thing in the expanded universe, the novels that I read.
There we go. All right, those ones, the ones that I've picked out of what you guys are suggesting, because there's some very good ideas here. But the ones that I've picked are the ones that I think the largest number of people are likely to know. We will let this poll run for 2 minutes. Boom, there we go. Let me know what you guys think out of the choices.
I had to silence myself to think.
That is completely fine. I know how that goes. So we have a suggestion from Lictor. Lictor's suggestion is... Waking from the gasping void, God knows how many fathoms below, Jake required 3 things in no particular order. Oxygen, aerosolized. Coffee, liquefied. And Kilo, solidified. Being the first human in the Gleam Wake could be exciting, but being the first human on an expedition was first and foremost bewildering. It's good. I feel like it might be a little bit expository, but it is good. I will copy it, and we will figure out what we want to go with. Let me stick this in here. You can't write a book over Twitch, they said. We're absolutely writing a book over Twitch. Ocean Man, welcome to the jungle. Yeah, there's some good choices here.
Yes.
I wanted to work in a Judge Dredd joke. I load up and see this question. Yeah, welcome in, Kai. We're currently on chapter 1.
So yeah.
Mr. Blue Sky. We have too many good options for how we want to open our chapter 1. Too many good options. Let's see what's winning at the minute. Under Pressure. Yeah, I mean, thematically, it's going to be a little bit on the nose, but...
Yes.
Lady Red, I have a literal million goop. Excellent, you can give it all to me next month. On Monday, the goop drive goes live for a not just one image, an entire colouring book of activities. It's going to be like 35 odd pages long, I think. It might be less, it might be more, but it's going to be over 20. I know that much.
Bully Snake, we're having so much fun we can't hear you over the scratches of the void. Also, the dogs help.
Yes. The return of Reddit Siba, yes. I don't think anyone has ever said you can't write a book over Twitch on the grounds that no one would ever think anyone would try. Yeah, Grimos is very aware of the 2K per stream. Grimos is an unholy amount of streams, and I'm sure I will start cleaning out much of his goob. Alrighty. Okay. Jake rose from his dose to the stirring strains of Under Pressure. His familiar nudging at his arm. He didn't remember falling asleep, but the faint strains of daylight under this much water always brought a degree of unexpected peace. Speaks to his worrying thoughts. Okay. Alright, how do we want to go from here? So, first of all, we're going to need to choose which sort of thing we want to go with. We have option 1, Jake rose from his doze to the stirring strains of Under Pressure, his familiar nudging in his arm. He didn't remember falling asleep, but the faint strains of daylight under this much water always brought a degree of unexpected peace to his whirring thoughts. Alternately, we can go with waking from the grasping voids, God knows how many fathoms below. Jake required 3 things in no particular order. Oxygen, aerosolized, coffee liquefied, and kilos solidified. Being the first human in the Gleamwake could be exciting, but being the first human on an expedition was first and foremost bewildering. So we've got some options, and if there's anything else you guys want to put forward, first lines are important, but as we've talked about in previous weeks, this is something we can come back and change later when we go through in editing. It is not uncommon for the first line to get a tweak.
The only thing I want to change on the first option, which I like a lot, is that faint strains. I don't know if light it comes in strains. That's the only thing I have to say.
How about shafts? Because light will shaft through water.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
We can absolutely play with some language.
Eric says combo option 1, then the list. The list of the oxygen, coffee, and kilo.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Merge them. Yep. Lord Troas says the first alarm is Under Pressure. The second alarm is Baby Shark. And what would happen, because it's Kilo that has the alarm on board, it would be, okay, first alarm, I'm going to nudge you and stay nice and close and try and wake you up with this song. Second alarm, I'm going to run away from you, blaring it really loudly, so you have to get up to turn it off. The longer it takes you to wake up, the louder Baby Shark gets.
I agree. I'm just trying to think about how do scientists wake up. I agree, Dr. Who. He is a little bit robotic in my brain.
Yeah, but that's where we play with the prose and we refine it. It's the content and the sorts of things we're bringing forward that's most important. So I think merging them is a good idea. Kai says he likes the idea of ribbons of light coming in from above, which would imply flow. So yeah, we could go with ribbons. The faint ribbons. Okay. Blinking away. Sleep, as his AI familiar nudged him again. Jake knew he needed 3 things in no particular order. First, oxygen. Aerosolized. I'm looking at how you spelt it and I'm still incapable of typing it. That's stupid. Second, coffee. Liquefied and full of sugar. Third,
He adds sugar to his coffee.
I feel like he's the kind of person who would.
I agree. It doesn't relieve my pity.
Kilo. Solidified. Preferably with his schedule to hand. Okay. During falling asleep, the faint ripples of daylight under this much water always brought a degree of unexpected peace to his whirring thoughts. Blinking away sleep as his AI familiar nudged him again, Jake knew he needed 3 things in no particular order. First, oxygen, aerosolized. Second, coffee, liquefied and full of sugar. Third, kilo, solidified, preferably with his schedule to hand. And the reassurance, his impromptu nap, hadn't put him... hadn't made him late. It is 20 minutes until hookup time, Jake. Kilo. I'm going to use this word and we're going to figure out what it should be in a minute. Kilo trilled at his elbow, moving back from the table. Okay, what does Kilo's voice sound like? Does he have a deep voice? Does he have a robotic voice? Is it a high-pitched voice? Is it a male voice or a female voice? What does Kilo sound like?
Mellow synthesized.
That's going to be too big of a word for what we're doing with the prose right now, though I do like it standalone of its own.
Gentle and chiding.
Orc Slayer says deep female robot. Wilf says just a little too chirpy. I wonder how silly a nasally voice would sound underwater. Well, let's have some options. We can put it to a poll. Androgynous chirpy. I feel like we're going to end up going gendered one way or the other. We've had this discussion quite a few times over the course of building our world, etc., and beginning to plan our book. Playing with pronouns is completely fine to do and makes sense, and there's a lot to be said about that, especially in current day TM. But unless you're going to specifically use it for something, it's not worth doing. Now, we would be using it for something here. This is an AI. It doesn't have a gender. It's an AI, so we could do that. But I just have a feeling that as Kilo isn't one of the main characters of this, he's a companion character to a main character.
Yes.
Picking a he or a she might help.
It's a he, and it's a relatively I get the feeling that since it's an aid AI, it's going to be a he with a relatively soft voice.
Archon Erica has just said something that's given me an idea. and we'll do a poll on this to see what people want to do, but Erica suggested Dr. Samantha Hayden, like from Doom, but female, instead of, you know, male Dr. Hayden, who incidentally, I love that character. I think he's great. What if Kilo's voice, although it's not a direct copy, is synthesized structurally to remind him either of one of his colleagues from when he was in school with his research team, or one of his professors? This is supposed to be an assistant AI. If it's a calm voice that's familiar to somebody that he trusts and respects, maybe that's done on purpose.
How much of a deep cut do we want to go in this? Because Kilo has been with him.
Kilo has been with him from a very young age. You're right.
From a very young age, and thus it could be a gentle maternal voice, if this is how he works, or it could be a clipped, precise assistant voice.
Yes, yeah. Kai also does make the good point that if it's, you know, a voice based on someone he knew, it may be a bit creepy if it's also helping wake him up. Yeah. Doctor Who's suggesting that maybe his mum is dead, and I'm going to guess, you know, it sounds like his mum.
I find this deeply concerning. But sure.
I mean, it's certainly an option we could work with, and maybe, you know, because I mean we're looking at future human tech. Maybe that's something that's normal, is that if you miss a relative, you have that option to have a voice suite on something, you know, for comfort. It might not be as weird in the future. We're definitely gonna have to do a poll on this, because there's all of these ideas could work, as could him just having a very deliberately, clearly this is a robot's voice, but it's, you know, a nice instructional robot's voice that you can trust, and you know, it doesn't necessarily, it's very deliberate that it doesn't sound like anybody you know.
It's just my own construction of how to relate to dead people, and having them around me every day as my personal assistant sounds...
It could be very unhealthy. We'll let people decide. But yeah, I completely get where you're coming from, and if you do decide that, chat, that we want it to have the voice of somebody that he knew, that's going to become something we'll have to explore in the narrative at some point and talk about it. So, okay, what does Kilo sound like? And it's a shame we don't have Ed here, because I would love to hear what Ed's thoughts on this are. He has a clearly not human voice. He has a clearly robo assistant. Oh, for goodness sake, polls don't let you have much space to write anything. Okay, male robo assistant. Female robo assistant. Male person from past. Female person from past. We had another option. Excuse me.
Night Owl demands a talkie. Night Owl demands a talkie toaster.
I don't know that the talkie toaster would fit for the tone of our book. All right, we're going to do this poll first, and then once we decide, you know, male or female, robo or person from past, if we do just choose one that is a person from past, we'll then have to do another poll as to who that person from past is, whether male or female. So the poll is up, and we will figure it out from there. This is Future Humanity. Things are going on very weird to us, but normal for them. Yeah, and you know, that's one of the things you get to do with future projection, is how will society change from what we currently consider normal. But we will have to talk about it if we put this in. There are probably also celebrity voice packs. Probably. The weirdness
kind
could
of
be
like-
fuel for another book, but this is the first one, so weirdness must be explained. Yep. So if we do decide to put that in and have this sort of cultural note, it is something we will have to talk about at some point. And admittedly, we do have the scope in this book to do it. We are going to have a whole section on death and how different cultures deal with the dead and the dying and the very long deceased, because we have that whole thing with let's eat the dead person that happens much later on. We do have space to have that conversation in this book if we want to.
Genesis did not have a compatible port on that side.
Kai Harper
Like,
says
like,
suggestion.
yeah.
Yeah, it's changeable. Therefore, any folks who had something like this, if they had it as a lost relative or love, they could change it when they finish processing through things, or when things start stabbing into the soul, depending on how people go. Yeah, maybe the technology has something like that on it. Is yes, you can get a synthesized, voice copy of whoever. However, it has to have been at least a year, maybe 7 years post-death, because people retain rights to their likeness, including use of their voice, for X amount of time after dying, because in the super future, intellectual property law has maybe caught up with things a little bit. Who knows? It will be something we explore if we decide to.
I think, as a concept, it's going to be interesting, at the very least, to explore the fact that this is an AI. It has been integrated into Jake's personality from a very young age. They can shift their tone as they need to and as they perceive their need to do so.
Yeah, and maybe we explore that when we get to that, because what chat has chosen by quite a significant margin, although admittedly we didn't get that many votes come in, so it's not that significant, but female robotic assistant. Kilo sounds like a girl, but is clearly not human. But maybe Kilo changes her tone later on.
Yeah, I mean, Kilo
In actuality,
is.
she's not a robot, she's a lizard person, she's a kilo monster.
Get out! I don't know if you heard that, chat, but I'm kicking Aiden out. He's making terrible jokes.
Yeah, it's cool. They have their own measuring system.
What else is new?
A kilometer.
Okay, so Kilo, female, robotic. Trilled is not going to be the right word. Murmured,
Remarked.
perhaps?
Attempting to articulate in their finest sales voice.
I don't think so.
Squick wants Kilo to be using a sales voice. Hi, Sarah, are you coming up?
Considered updating your life insurance.
Hey,
A number of policies are available. Rates have never been. Oh, full auto worked.
Okay, let's Kilo continue talking.
we might want to reference the fact that Kilo is not human-shaped.
Exactly what the risks are.
Okay, there's easy ways we can do that. And yeah, we are going to have Kilo say some more and reveal some more. It's 20 minutes into hookup time, Jake. Kilo murmured at his elbow, hovering back from the table. You should expect... I wanted you to do the drop down. Okay, I'm in the wrong thing, that's why. There we go, that's what I wanted. Okay, you should expect contact Minoseo presently. And if we change how we write this, it will start to imply that this is a computer, effectively.
Yep.
The phone is attempting to die.
Alright, I'm just going to write for a moment and then we'll review what I popped down.
And now we need to talk to Ed again about the how much of emotional mimicry do these AI things do? my instinct tells me that Kilo is fully capable of mimicking and using emotional cues to get to her program directives.
Okay. So we currently have Jake rose from his doze to the stirring strains of Under Pressure. His familiar, that should have a capital F so that we know that it is an object. Okay, his familiar nudging at his arm. He didn't remember falling asleep, but the faint ribbons of daylight under this much water always brought a degree of unexpected peace to his whirring thoughts. Blinking away sleep as his AI familiar nudged him again, Jake knew that he needed 3 things in no particular order. I'm going to take the word familiar out here because we do not need it. First, oxygen, aerosolized. Second, coffee, liquefied and full of sugar. Third, Kilo, solidified, preferably with his schedule to hand and the reassurance his impromptu nap hadn't made him late. It is 20 minutes until hookup time, Jake, Kilo murmured at his elbow, hovering back from the table. You should expect contact Minoseo presently. Thanks. Jake pushed up from the table, careful not to nudge his floating assistant out of the air. Kilo was good at hovering just over his shoulder when it was mothering him, and it wouldn't be the first time he knocked the teardrop bot end over end. I think that gives us a good initial opening. Alright, let's see what we've got going on in chat. I don't hear Aiden getting swarmed by beagles. The beagles are sleepy at the minute, which is nice. Assistant Synthanther Aiden. I do not want Kilo to contact me about my Titan's extended warranty. Well, tough shit.
I'm going to say to Wilf, Red, can you pick up my
yes, I will bring up the
3i
photo.
thingy?
I know exactly the one you mean. I'm picturing a small version of the owl ship from Watchmen. Okay, let me bring up the image in question because I think it is a very good image for this. What I'll do is I'll bring Pip back up for a moment and then I'll navigate to where I need to be. Alright. It is going to be in arts.
Eric, Jake interfaces with the familiar from a very early age, and I
Yes.
assume that they imprint a gender, or at least a preferred personality on the familiar as time goes on.
Or maybe it's changed over time.
It may well have more than one setting. It's an AI, not a it's an AI, not a neural network. Unlike Coral, this thing is much more interchangeable. We have been rated by Mr. G Gamer TDV.
Oh my goodness, that's 2 raids in one stream. My God. Welcome in, Mr. J. It's lovely to see you. What were you up to over on your stream? We're wittering about writing over here. We have made a setting since January, an underwater mech setting, and we're currently working on our initial novel. And we're on chapter 1. We've written our prologue and we're currently working on our opening to chapter 1. Oh, Euro Truck Simulator. Very nice. Very nice. In a large lobby of like 20. My goodness. I would not be able to handle that. There are some other streamers on this channel who do enjoy themselves some Euro Truck, though. Alright, the picture I have up on screen is one that Lictor did. This is a candle drone. It is an example of what a AI assistive bot may look like on Shoal. Jake may call her she then, not it. Yeah, we'll have to make that decision. I think we'll do a poll on that in just a moment. The stress was worse because of a wheel and shifter setup. Oh, so yeah, that's the problem with doing immersive setups. It makes the stress more real as well as the enjoyment. I hope you had a good time with it, though. All right, so our AI Kilo, we know she has a female robotic voice. We need to decide how Jake refers to her. Does he call her her? Does he call her it? And is that because, you know, she's changed her gender and voice style many times over the long duration that Jake has had her? Or is it not? So let me do another poll. And we
Just
will
need to
make
point
our
out that
decisions from there.
I think he is human. In its contact, I think he refers to her as a she, and nobody has any problem with it because it's the future and they had AIs for a while now. Pronouns constant. Bye bye, Mr. J. Have fun.
Thank you very much, Mr. J. I hope you have a wonderful day. Her keeps pronouns consistent. Okay. So the options that we're going to have are her, it, or based on current voice, which would imply that, you know, Kilo sometimes changes her voice at various times. And so, you know, she'd be a her at the moment. She might be a he if she changes her voice later. So that poll is up. You guys let me know what pronouns we want for our AI to have, or Jake, the way Jake thinks of Kilo. Has Jake ever changed Kilo's voice? I think based on the decisions that come from this poll, we'll know the answer to that. If we decide that definitively Jake just thinks of her as her, then she's probably had female voices the whole time. We'll let this poll make that decision for us, I think.
I will restate that I think that the AI is fully capable of using emotional cues to get what they need out of the handler.
Yep.
So being able to modify their own tonality and attitude is well within their powers and should be demonstrated. It's one of the key differences between choral-driven personalities, which are far more consistent and harder to molliate than the AIs of humans.
Yes, and that would again give us some of that pressure on the differentiation between the two, which is something that I know Ed is very about as well. So yeah, we could absolutely do that. At the moment, we have a tie. If it is a tie at the end, Lichter will get the tiebreaker decision.
I voted on this one, so I want Aiden to guess.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We'll see.
It's not a tie. It's not a tie.
It's not a tie now. We've got a little bit of time left for some last votes to come in.
It's fine. If we want consistency over...
yeah, so what we'll do is if it's, if people decide that, no, it's always her, that doesn't mean that we can't modulate between different female voices. It's just set to have a suite of different female voices it can switch between, perhaps.
Yeah, and it's back to being a tie. Complicated.
It's back to being a tie. Okay, Aiden.
Yes.
Come here. I need to ask you a question. We need a tiebreaker.
I am listening.
Okay, so we're currently trying to decide how our human character thinks about his AI companion that comes with him. We have
Female or variable?
as male. Well, we know it's not going to be male, so it's either going to be female, her, it because he just thinks of it as a item, or we could go with whether he uses he or she, etc., is based on whatever current voice pack is loaded onto the bot. So if it has a male voice pack, perhaps he changes how he thinks about it.
How have you been referring to it in your conversation thus far?
Well, we've literally just started writing about it, so we've used all of these because this is what we're trying to figure out.
It sounded like you've been calling it she this whole time.
Well, no, that's not true. Because this is a discussion that we're having, but this is how do you think a human character would think of an AI companion they've had since childhood? With a gendered pronoun or not, or is it based on the current voice the thing has?
I would say...
Eric, just to turn to you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to say to Eric that the point is, what I'm thinking is, it's not that... I don't think that Jake changes the personality types. I think Kilo changes the personality type in order to nudge Jake.
Yeah, Kilo has a suite on board that it's able to make decisions about what is most appropriate in the moment.
Exactly. Again, Kilo is an AI. It is very capable of analyzing whatever is going around.
Aiden
It
has
has enough processing
broken it
power.
by saying she, incidentally. So we
That's
Jake is going to think of it as a she, but she has a suite of female voices on board to get what she needs out of Jake in the moment, because that's part of her job.
Exactly. I mean,
How many people really change their devices settings? Yeah, okay, so that's what we were responding to. I got it. And we have... GameFoo has joined us. Thank you very much. And subscribe with Twitch Prime for 9 months. You have made choices. I'm not going to say whether they're good or bad choices, but there's some heckin' choices.
look, we're not judging, but listen, just stick around for a bit. Make the most out of it. It'll be fine. We promise. Look, a three-eyed mechanical fish.
Yes.
What possibly go wrong?
Okay, so we know what we're doing with pronouns for Kilo now and why we're using them. And that can be something that we discuss further through the book as well. Okay, let's fix that spelling
Which is awesome.
mistake. All right, so we've got our initial little bit, and I know this feels like it's taken us a really long time to get here, but one, we're doing this communally, and two, it's because the opening is so important. As we get going, things should get quicker. It won't always be like this. All right.
I think it's fun. We're doing world
It is. I love writing and having other people's thoughts be part of that.
Yes. I like Eric's voice, Eric's thoughts,
Let's have a look.
and Dr. Who's. Chat, you're to blame. I'm having fun with you guys. You'll have to live with yourselves, knowing that you have made something.
Okay, so
Do you mean never get to join?
you never know what will
Painful.
happen.
You never know. You're here now. You have a chance. You have a voice.
And
Dive deep into Shoal
yes,
and make the world change.
yes. So, and incidentally, anybody who hasn't seen it, there was a new Legionnaire that came out very recently. Let me go grab it, because there is also a article on there about Shoal that I may or may not have written for your sins, and definitely for my sins. Let me come and link that in chat.
Absolutely not. How could it possibly be?
There we go. We'll pin that for a little bit.
I
Unable to
actually
pin.
changed the link. I changed the link in the front page. It now leads to the Legionnaire.
Ah.
I see. I have the power because I added the
do.
website.
You do. Lichter has his fingers all up in that website and does many amazing things. So, you know, please appreciate the Lichter. He is the reason that the site does the cool things that it does. He is a very good Lichter with two hats.
And if you want things on the website, like, I don't know, a button that sends you. Does anybody has any idea what to do? Side homework from Shoal. If anybody has any idea for something cool aside from the side horn that appears every once in a while in the secret pizza house, in case you haven't found it yet, feel free to DM me and tell me. Like, I'm okay with programming bullshit for the website. And those of you who haven't found the secret pizza house, well, go off and look. It's there. Aiden has a beagle. We hear him.
Yes. I also have a beagle. I have a Saris next to me. She's been a very good girl.
The success is the main thing. The power is enormous.
So let's continue writing a little bit. We've said that he needs coffee, so let's have him get up and get coffee. He took his empty
Yes.
mug over to the recessed wall space that counted for kitchen that had been deposited it under the spout for more coffee. The rich aroma of very processed beans soon assailed his senses. And he breathed in while he still could. 1 not once, one of the major downsides to working an underwater expedition was spending most of his time inside a pressure suit where the only smell was the increasing awareness of his own scent. Coffee and oxygen, albeit processed from the ocean all around him, were luxuries he had come to appreciate. There we go, that gives us a little bit of exposition and explanatory text, but based in actions that the character is taking. Alright, how are we doing, chat? The smell of his own farts, yes. We were going to write slightly better than that, but basically, yes.
Artonium.
Till there's so much methane in the suit, it starts to float. Oh no! This is why you must always check your buoyancy when you are diving, chat.
Yes. Ballast and weights. Ballast and weights.
Wait, no, I did not ask you to do this thing. Please do not do that. How long was I out?
You weren't. Were you?
He was dozing. How long was I out? How long was I asleep?
No.
Colloquial English nonsense.
Yeah. White Tom may be on Shoal, but it will take some doing.
White Tom is a gas giant in our solar system. Tomb! Because it's Tom, but wider.
Like I said, it could be on Shoal, but it will take some doing.
What are you two doing?
He hadn't heard Tomb before.
Oh, Squig did not know about Tomb. Yeah, chat decided that back in January, and it was definitely not my fault.
Nothing is ever your fault. It's all Chat's fault. We've agreed on this. I don't know why this keep coming up. It's almost like there's fault to be given. Chat, do you want any more fault? Is there a need for excess fault to be given? Tomb was my fault. Bully Snake takes the fault. See? Perfect. Balanced. As all things should be in nature. Like chickpeas and spices. You can tell Aiden I'm about finishing the thing I owe him.
How is thing that you owe him going?
It's going well. I'm
It's good.
adding bullshit on the various portions because I feel like it.
Excellent. This is the exact reason to do things. Alright, how are we doing, chat? Yes, White Tom has his own moon. Yes, he has multiple moons, I imagine. And Bully Snake is taking responsibility for it. Yep, see, told you it wasn't my fault.
It's the moon star of Tom instead of Limbo.
Alright, so next couple of lines I've thrown in. He took his empty mug over to the recessed wall space that counted for a kitchen in the little hab unit and deposited it under the spout for more coffee. The rich aroma of very processed beans soon assailed his senses and he breathed it in while he still could. One of the major downsides to working an underwater expedition was spending most of his time inside a pressure suit, where the only smell was the increasing awareness of his own scent. Coffee and oxygen, albeit processed from the ocean all around him, were luxuries he had come to appreciate. "How long was I out?" he asked. 27 minutes. As packing is almost complete, a nap was acceptable. you will need to secure your mug and final ornaments before Hab collapse. And then I think Jake needs to say, I wish you wouldn't call it that. It always sounds like an impending disaster rather than a normal take-down process before we move on. And that gives us the implication that whatever he's doing, you know, the movement is about to happen, things are about to progress. How do we feel about that, chat? Have collapse is an alarming phrase. It is, yes. I put it in there on purpose. If we don't feel it's appropriate, we want to change it, we can. But I felt like it might be something that allows us to bring a little bit more exposition in. If there's something you want to replace it with, let me know.
I like him the way it is.
Oh, that's looking really cool. Looked,
Yay. I am adding scripts on stuff.
I love it. It's very good. All right.
I also sent it to Aiden.
Perfect. He's not at his computer at the minute, but he will be a bit later, and I'm sure he'll see it. Okay, let's continue writing.
Yes.
It is simply a technical term. Let's not have Kilo finish her sentence. Kilo began before a chime in the next room caught their attention.
This is gonna be an adventure.
Jake leaned over. His long limbs stretching to thumb. Switch next to the bulkhead door without ever leaving the side of his beloved coffee pot. Okay, as the door opened, a wave of salty, damp air accompanied the arrival of their expected guest. Something along those lines, I think. What is chat thinking? Oh, why are we looking at that? I did not tell you to bring up CSP. Why did that happen? That was a pain in the butt. Not that it matters, but I didn't tell computer to do that. Okay. Y2 understands the gravity of the situation. Yes. Have collapse an alarming phrase. Will have collapse be a Chekhov phrase? Potentially. We haven't made the final decisions on whether we will have a have collapse later. He's going to have a conversation with Hodaka, perhaps, about what coffee is. Yes, that would be a great conversation for them to have in the next chapter when they're on the the expeditionary fleet. So, no, the migrating fleet, the travelling fleet. That would be where that conversation needs to happen, I think.
So, I think I suggested we'll start. So, what drugs do humans have?
I mean, probably all the same ones that we have on Earth right now. But yeah, that would be a great conversation starter.
No. Hordaka goes like, okay. So you figured out you can't swim, you can't lift, and you definitely can't see. What do you do for entertainment?
Drugs.
To this, Hordaka will say, I can respect that. Anything interesting?
Okay, let's move into some dialogue, I think.
Hordaka might be straight-laced, but he's straight-laced with some very powerful stuff.
Yes.
Just thoughts. Swimming in brainwaves. Night Owl is, as always, keeping things for posterity in context, so people would know what sort of stuff we're up to here.
Okay, so I've got a little tiny bit of dialogue going on here. It will probably need refining with time, but this is going to be our introduction of our character Umi. He is a latical, and we need to have a little bit of exposition going on here about him. So I think it's nice to start with a little bit of dialogue, because the way people talk is a sort of key indicator, and then we can have a little bit of description. So at the moment what I have is, I wish you wouldn't call it that. It always sounds like an impeding disaster rather than a normal takedown process before we move on. It is simply a technical Kilo began before a chime in the next room caught their attention. Jake leaned over, his long limbs stretching to thumb the switch next to the bulkhead door without ever leaving the side of his beloved coffee pot. As the door opened, a wave of salty damp air accompanied the arrival of their expected guest. "You're early, Umi." "By my estimate, it is the start of third shift, which would be morning for you. I thought you might be awake and amenable to early company." And then we need to put in a description of what Jake is seeing. What does Umi look like, and how do we want to bring those elements into our prose?
I have something.
Okay. We will give you
I will start typing. You do you.
Yeah, we'll see what chat comes back with. I see chat as being Night Owl specifically is being very helpful and quoting me talking about drugs. I swear anybody who doesn't actually come to these streams but only hears things about what we do over here thinks that all we do is come up with drugs, war crimes, and sometimes food.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Squick. We are accidentally going to get this channel banned from Twitch one day, I swear, because we'll just come up with something that is very relevant to a story and just no context given. Cocaine too? We don't, I mean, we do those things, but that's like 10% of what we do. Probably dominated by the 17 body and fins. Need to describe how he walks clumsily as he has legs. He does have legs. Laticals have 6 limbs. They have 4 arms and they do have 2 legs. Let me bring up. That would be a really good idea. I'm asking you guys to think about how we want to discuss what things look like. And I haven't even brought up what the art of laticals looks like for people who haven't seen one before. What latical do I have immediately available? I don't have Tired German's wonderful piece that I want to use right now. That is very annoying. Let me see. Yes, I do. Here we go. Latical. Open. There we go. So we have our Vitruvian latical here. And those rearmost sort of bottom limbs there can also walk on land. They help to brace the tail when they are doing sinuous things. To the surprise of no one, Introspective 90 thinks that ceratinoids are superior. Perhaps Jake reaches out a hand to shake in greeting and Umi reaches out too in response. That's a good idea. Yes, I know how we can work that in. Jake automatically reached out a hand and as had become familiar to him in his months on Shoal, Jake found it clasped. Damp, firm by 2 of Umi's available 4. Encasing his hand inside the larger. She found it clasped damp but firm by 2 of Umi's available 4, enclosing his hand inside scale texture and since just scale texture I think will be fine. Okay, so we got that. Ed got a break. How goes it? I wish you had been here earlier, Ed. I know, of course, you're not available, but we were talking about Kilo and deciding and having thoughts about, well, what does Kilo's voice sound like? What range of voices might Kilo have on board? Is it going to be a thing for humans to have voice packs that replicate perhaps deceased family members for comfort, etc.? We were making all of these sorts of decisions with what we wanted to do with Kilo, and we did some polls on it, and what chat came back with was that Kilo has a clearly female but also clearly robotic voice, but that we thought it would also be very cool if Kilo had like a suite of female voices available to her, and that Jake does think of her as a her, which is a human thing, to sort of, identify in that way, and that depending on the situation and the response that she's trying to elicit from Jake to keep him safe or whatever, she might switch between different female voice types she has available to help give him the emotional feedback and grounding that he might need. So that was one of the discussions that we had today. We've settled on our prologue, and our prologue is complete, and we're currently working on the opening of chapter 1. And Night Owl is quoting things that I've said once again. Imagine the primary means of locomotion of a laticle would be serpentine. Yes, the legs are there not to walk upright like a human does or to take over for the tail. They're there as sort of a brace and a guide and a support to the tail when they're on land, but obviously, more beneficial when they're in the water. Okay, we have some writing from Lictor that we can pop in and see if we can make use of. We have Ed's stamp of approval on what we've decided for Kilo, which is wonderful. I am very pleased to hear that. Okay, let's paste and match style. Okay, so where are we at? Jake leaned over, his long limbs stretching to thumb the switch next to the bulkhead door without ever leaving the side of his beloved coffee pot. As the door opened, a wave of salty damp air accompanied the arrival of their expected guest. "You're early, Umi." "By my estimate, it is the start of third shift, which would be morning for you. I thought you might be awake and amenable to early company." Jake automatically reached out a hand to shake, and as had become familiar to him in his months on Shoal, Jake found it clasped damp but firm by 2 of Umi's available 4, encasing his hand inside scaled texture. A 4-armed Naga with 2 stunted hind limbs was the shorthand in the book for a laticle. The end result always felt ungainly in text. Jake, however, had every impression that his new guest, Umi, had all the serpentine grace of an eel darting through a coral reef. Belaying the clumsy description, the dorsal crest nearly pushing at the top of the hab, as the naturally hunched figure of the laticle made for a greeting gesture followed by a faint but practiced psionic-friendly impression. There's definitely, we'll need to tweak some of the prose there, which is normal, but I think that's a good idea, is to have that sort of description come in, and I like some of the language that we're using here.
I like it too.
Yeah. Let's see what chat has to say. And then what I'm probably going to do each week, actually, what would be really, really helpful is if I took the image off of the screen, boop, and scrolled so that chat can see. There we go. That should help a bit.
That would be very nice.
Yes, that would be very nice. That should help. So I think what we're going to do each week is we'll do some of what we can, and then I'll do some more prose off stream, and then we'll read what we had when we come back next week and review and change anything that I've added that you guys feel needs changing. Do we want to say that it's a psionic impression, or say that Umi did something he claimed was a psionic impression? Jake can feel psionics, so he's nowhere near as good at it as Shoal, but he is psionically aware. So we can have Umi use what is natural to laticals and not have to have him vocalize that he did so.
I think it's important to bring it up early. Just how important psychic impressions.
Yes, I think that will be a really good idea. I'm also debating at the moment perhaps calling stream half an hour early here, because that will let me play with the prose that we have, and then we'll have a good solid foundation to finish chapter 1 when we come back next week. But also because I do have company over at the minute and would like to enjoy that, and I haven't eaten anything today despite the amount that I've cooked recently, and I would like to do that. And I might just call it a little bit early this week. How do we feel about that, chat? Would that be okay? Cremo says, go eat food.
Yes.
Ed says, having a familiar having the voice of a dead family member is more of a Vesuan thing in my mind, but I could see a Terran or a Martian doing that as well.
I think he means Venusian. But
yes. Venusian, yeah. Go eat the food, take care of you. More writing! There is going to be more writing over the weeks, and next year this is going to be our big thing. I also suck at spelling, and I run a writing stream and write in front of people, and it all works out. It's fine. It's fine. Get here when we get back next week. Yes, I intend to try to be here every single week unless something really massive happens. Because this is very fun, and I want us to write a book. Because it's
let's
a
write
thing.
a book. But
yes,
now
we can write a book over Twitch. We have this capacity. We will do the thing.
Go eat a food.
I will, in fact, go and eat a food. So we'll call it a little bit early this week, chat. Next week should be here as normal. The big thing that will be going on next week for anybody who wasn't here at the beginning of stream, the Goob Drive will have started. I haven't done a Goob Drive all year, but I will be doing one in December. And to make up for not doing one all year, it is going to be a big Goob Drive. The cost will be lower than the last one, but the amount of images available for you guys to enjoy will be extensive. I will be making an entire colouring and activity book for people to enjoy, and you can expect that to be available to you around about January 1st. So Goob Drive should start either on WBPLW on Sunday night, or it will start on December 1st on Monday. I missing having over 1 million goob. Yes, though I intend to consume all of the goob from all of the people, but I survive on a goob-based diet, and I haven't had any fresh goob poured into the silos all year, so it must now happen.
How do we get...
Yes, I would like you to fill my goob hole, please.
How do you get over 1 million goob?
Watch a lot of streams and click the button anytime bonus goob comes up. And then also get lucky voting on wrestling matches, yes. I'm stalling, fill my mouth hole. Okay, fine, I will leave. There's 50 of you here this week. Why are there 50 of you? You must have better things to do on a holiday weekend. Why are you here? But thank you.
We're having fun.
I do like having fun with you guys. All right. It is 2:30. Striker should be here at the top of the hour. I mean, it's 2:30 where I am. It's going to be, 5:30 where most people are. Striker will be here at the top of the hour. Please enjoy whatever chaos he decides to get up to with you this week. I hope to see as many of you here on Sunday as possible for WBPLW. It is always a fun time. Any closing remarks before we go, Lichter?
No, have fun.
Then
Eat well. We'll see you next week.
Out. Be good to each other.